everybody, it's Sarah, and today is Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesday was created by Lainey from Ginger Eats Lainey, and as always I'll leave the link to her channel as well as the Goodreads group in the description box below. This week's topic is top 5 favorite retelling. And as I understood this topic, this can be any type of retelling. It can be from legends, fairy tales, classics. Let's start. First, I have an honorary mention because I'm kind of obsessed with it right now again. And that's Once Upon a Time. I have just watched the latest episode and I am so upset right now. But it's not on my list because it's not a book. For the books, first I have The Child Thief by Brom, which is a retelling of Peter Pan. This book is kind of a take on the darker side of the original Peter Pan, because those who have read the original might know that it's actually not very child-friendly. And it follows a boy named Peter who walks around New York at night searching for children who are unhappy and lost. And he then promises those children a better life and takes them to his island, which is not Neverland, but actually is called Avalon. So there's not just Peter Pan, but there's just part of different folklore. So he takes them to Avalon, but what he doesn't tell them is that it's actually quite dangerous and that the children will have to fight for their lives. And I love this book. I thought it was really well written and a really interesting take. And also this was actually the book that made me read the original Peter Pan. And now Peter Pan is kind of my favorite classics. Next I have my guilty pleasure series, well, one of my guilty pleasure series, and that's the Goddess Summoning novels by PC Cast, which is, I think it's 5 or 6 or 7 books about different Greek goddesses. Most of the time it's a woman who has some kind of problem and who by accident summons one of the Greek goddesses. And my two favorite of the books is Goddess of Troy, which is a retelling of the Iliad, and also Goddess of Spring, which is a retelling of the Persephone and Hades legend myth. Next I have a fairy tale retelling, which is Daughter of the Forest, which is the first novel in the Seven Waters series by Juliet Mary Lee. This is the second book, Son of the Shadows, but I lent out the first book, so you have to make do with that one. And it's a retelling of the fairy tale The Six Swans. And the basic story is Sorka is the 7th daughter of a 7th son, and she has 6 older brothers. And one day her father remarries, and the woman he marries is actually an evil sorceress who turns all of Sorka's brothers into swans. And so she has to knit shirts for her brothers made out of a plant which is very harmful. I'm not sure what the plant is anymore. And while she knits those shirts, she has to be completely silent. She is not allowed to utter a word. And it's just her hardships, and it's quite brutal at times, the book, just psychologically brutal. But I love it. I'm not sure if any of the other Seven Waters series are retellings. If they are, I don't know the original tale, so I couldn't tell. Fourth on my list is one of my favorite books that I read this year, and that's Gretel and the Dark by Eliza Granville, which obviously is a retelling of Hänsel und Gretel. Sorry, I said that in German. There are kind of two timelines. One is Vienna around 1900 sometimes, which follows a psychoanalyst, and he finds a young woman naked and he has to unravel the mystery surrounding her. And I'm not going to tell you too much about the second timeline, just that it's about a little girl who is left alone a lot of the time, and because she's bored, she retells the story of Hansel and Gretel all the time, with herself as the protagonist and everyone who she doesn't like at the moment as the evil witch. Lastly, I have a book that I don't have here because I lent it out as well, and that is The Gospel of Loki by Joanne Harris, I believe, and it's a retelling of Norse mythology just from the point of view of Loki, which is my favorite god of any god, be they Greek, Norse, Roman, Egyptian. I just love Loki. It's a retelling basically from the very beginning to Ragnarok, which is the end of the world in Norse mythology. And it's just so fun because I think the voice she gave, like the author gave Loki, is just spot on how I would imagine Loki would sound, and it's just so sarcastic and funny and witty, and I love it. I would recommend it to anyone who reads it, although I don't think that you have to, but I think it's more fun to read the book if you know at least a little bit about Norse legends, which I did. I basically knew all the stories, at least a little bit. I had heard of all of them before I started reading the book, and that just makes it all the more interesting. So yeah, that's it for this video, I guess. Tell me what your favorite retellings are, except for Percy Jackson, The Lunar Chronicles, because I'm going to read them anyway, and I know that those are the favorite retellings of almost anyone. So that was it. I hope I'll see you soon. Kiss kiss.